We are in Tempelhofeld. Yeah, I decided to meet here because it's been my studio in a way for the last couple of years. I've been coming here very often. I really like this place because it has this feeling of, you know, space. And for me personally, I really miss sea and the climate from south, and this is somehow the equivalent of this is a Berlin Sea for me, because you really can see the horizon. You have somehow really a lot of mental space for thinking. So yeah, so basically I live really close, and I've been just walking here very often and thinking and working in a way also. I moved to Berlin 2007 to take part in the pilot project of HCT. So like this idea of dance and choreography in much broader sense, because I was never really interested in just being a dancer or trained as a dancer. On the other hand, I was really never really interested in the West as such, or like the idea of a Western artist. So I never really wanted to move to the West. But Berlin at the time, I had a feeling, was the only European city that still had this kind of, Eastern, even though at that time already it was kind of disappearing, but at least in my, in my understanding, in my idea, I had the feeling that this is, not a typical Western capital city, and as well art market. We can read famous Mladen Stilinović Ode or Praise to Laziness, I don't know what is the English translation, where he exactly talks about that. And he basically says that the artists from West are not really artists because they are in this production mode, and they keep producing, and they're just like basically part of the market. And in order to be a real artist, and you have to be lazy as the artist from the East. But it's also very poetic. I mean, I just kind of but anyways, I think for me what was more I was never interested in this kind of Western system of art productions, or like also of this individualization of an artist as such. I was, and I guess also maybe coming from this kind of more socialist heritage, being born in Yugoslavia at the time, with all this heritage of socialism, where we really I thought at least of art of something that is not a product. It's not something that you sell, it's not something that you do to earn money off, or like to sell to rich people. It's more like something that changes community, that changes perspectives, that can have an impact on the surrounding, and that in that sense. So that was also my naive idea of Berlin, that there is maybe still, not only in art scene but as well in the life, that there is this clash of East and West, and that it's not only, and it was still cheap, and at the time, and so on. But I have a feeling that in last years this really changed a lot in Berlin. I think the Eastern heritage is completely erased. There is no, it's either appropriated to the West, or it's exotified, or it's turned into a touristic attraction. And then I think this creates this kind of individualization, that it's all about one person, and it's all about selection, and it's all about who will get the money, who will not get the money, and it's not about the scene or the community. And I think today especially we should not think about art in terms of individual, in terms of genius or something like that. It's so old. What is much more interesting is, I think, really to create communities, or to create scenes that can support each other. And this is something that I lack in Berlin a lot. I think the community is very interesting, it's very diverse, there is a lot of things happening, but I feel this competition, I feel this Western, I want to get to the top of the... and I think, for me personally, it's really, I can't handle this, I can't even go, it's not healthy for me to be myself one of this, fighting. But also I think it's not good for anybody. Like sooner or later you're gonna fall down, collapse, you're gonna be so... Anyways, I think it's much more productive to build something together. I'm really not interested here, or I'm not even inspired on doing my own thing in the sense of becoming a famous artist. I'm much more interested in sharing things or like building this kind of communities with other people. As all of us here are struggling with already this precarity and instability and the funding situation, which is, we all know how difficult. But I think on top of that I have another problem, which is this kind of interdisciplinarity, because I'm not really a conventional choreographer in that sense. I'm not doing a dance piece. I'm not producing every year 2 dance pieces that can be viewed on stage. I really consider myself dealing a lot with choreographic practices, but in a much broader sense, and applying them in many different ways. So I'm not necessarily producing theater pieces, but I'm very much interested and very much working in this field, I think. But I guess I consider also like this whole system conservative in that sense, and it's very classified. So you really have to fit each category in order to be supported. So if you are a visual artist, you need to be part of a commercial gallery scene. You have to be, doing this kind of work. If you want to be supported by Darstellende Kunst, you have to make 1-2 pieces a year in one of the three theaters in Berlin. So in that sense, I really don't. I don't want to even follow this kind of trajectory to really produce something for that, just in order to fit one of these categories. So my works are really diverse, from like durational performances, videos to a book. And this very often has a problem of fitting. So I'm not considered a choreographer, I'm not considered a visual artist. I myself don't even want to classify myself as one. But being in this field in between, it's really difficult to fit in the system. But I'm not giving up. For me, it's more important to keep my own trajectory and to keep my own practice alive, and not to make any compromises or fulfill any others. But in that sense, I've been working, as most of the people actually here, not really in Berlin. I've been working mostly abroad. And since last 4 or 5 years, I've been traveling all the time, and I've been really showing my work very rarely in Berlin, and also spending not so much time in Berlin. And this makes it harder, and this is, I think, the typical struggle with the many people, that in order to invest something here and to build some community, you really have to be present. But on the other hand, you cannot be present because you have to constantly travel in order to survive or to make your work. So it's this constant conflict. I think it's definitely some form of visibility, recognition, or love. We all want to be loved in a way. And I think this is a way to somehow, for some people, to get attention or get love or get recognition. I think it's very much connected to this idea of love, which doesn't need to be very healthy one, I'm not saying. But I think that's very often the case, that you belong, that you are worth it, that you are worth it, that you are doing something that is important in this world. But I see more and more that this really does not have a good influence on people. And I think I feel more and more happy not to strive for that anymore, because I really feel that it's temporary. And also I think we live in this time that you either if you want to achieve that, you have to really work to the burnout, and this happens sooner or later to everybody, and it's really not worth it. I think we really have to. We reach the point that we really have to change the whole system in a way, or try to make some difference, because this really doesn't work like this anymore. I mean, I don't see. I personally really don't see a necessity or urge or desire to work in that way, So I really think there has to be some kind of big change. I don't know how. I think the system and the market is the one actually who is imposing this structures to the artists, and the artists are the poor ones who are trying to fit in and try to use the best out of it. But what actually needs to change is like to, you know, the position needs to change. So we are the one who actually have to create our own conditions and our own rules how to actually work and create autonomy and creating conditions, proper conditions for that allows you to work in a creative way, not in a, you know, we are all bureaucrats these days. This doesn't make sense anymore. Transformance, this work gained a lot of visibility, and I was really lucky that I had all this hype around it, and or lucky or not lucky, I don't know, let's see, but I was for 4 years after that I was really having you know, a lot of offers, and I was traveling a lot, and I had many residencies and commission works and awards and whatever fundings, and then I had a burnout in a way, or I got really tired of that kind of, and I realized that it didn't make me happy, and I feel now that I feel very happy now that this actually happened to me, you know, because that I had a chance to reflect, to step back, to see, to look at the whole system, to look at, because this happens to everybody. Everybody has, or not everybody, but everybody has at least like ups and downs and some bigger peaks, but it's so unstable. First of all, it was this constant displacement that I was 4 years in a suitcase, basically traveling. I was having residencies in Finland, in US. I was twice in US, I was in Georgia, in Tbilisi, Norway. I was just constantly traveling, producing different pieces, and I think this was something that was crucial for my depression, let's say, in a way, because I was all the time alone in a new place, without having a home, without having a base, without having this community where you come back to, where you reflect and share and have this time. So I was coming back to Berlin, but it was maybe twice a month, 2 months a year that I spent in Berlin, and feeling like a total foreigner, because I first didn't have a support here at all. Second, everybody has the same situation, so they were all gone. My friends would be gone when I would come here because they've been traveling, and I just didn't, I don't know, I just felt there is no, I didn't felt that I have anything more to offer, that I was questioning for who, where, why am I doing this, for what am I producing this. I've been in constant move, in constant dislocated in different environments, different locations, being almost like a tourist, traveling everywhere, and it just didn't make sense for me. I really wanted to, for me it's also very important to understand the context and to be part of a certain context, to be able to react on that, or to be able to have some kind of impact on that. So yeah, this whole system, this whole, and just like writing applications, running after one thing after another, being a bureaucrat in that sense, a manager, organizing everything, traveling, and at the end being always on your own and alone in your fancy loft residence space. So it just didn't make me happy.
So now you say no to that?
No, I'm just trying to find the balance, or the way, or the, yeah, as I said, I'm trying to build my own conditions, the conditions for my work that would be healthy for me.
But this doesn't mean that you resign from applying, or you continue applying?
I mean, that's the only solution, I think, for now. But I think the other solution is also to slowly try to change something on a bigger scale, together with other people. I think maybe even for, like, I could even imagine, I mean, I know this sounds totally utopian, but to build a different systems of fundings. I think something like, how is it called, basic income, idea of the basic income. I actually think it's not such a bad idea. I mean, I don't know anything about it, but imagine that all the artists would get the basic income and have some security to be able to just like live out of something, and then of course they can get extra fundings for different projects, but just to have this base and to have this stability and continuity that they can just somehow